You are very welcome to another one of our community stream team partner spotlights, and I'm delighted to say joining me this evening is none other than partner mixer streamer Enola Leon. You're very welcome.
Hi. Yeah, and I think everyone probably knows me as EnolaCat on
EnolaCat,
Mixer.
yes.
So.
Right, okay, well, we're going to go start at the very start. What was your earliest gaming memory? What, can you remember the very first game you played, or maybe?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, so we had an Atari in my house when I was a kid. My older brothers are like 7 and 9 years older than me. So we definitely had that in the house, and then but quickly moved to Nintendo. So I really think the first memory I have is probably playing whatever the original like Super Mario game was.
Oh, wow, okay.
Um, I even remember on the original Nintendo playing the first Friday the 13th game. And my grandmother got me into horror movies at a really young age, like around the time I was 5. I think that was in the early 90s. So, yeah, I remember playing both of those.
Okay. So horror movies from 5. You're actually pretty similar to me. It was about 6 when I
Yeah,
first saw Dawn of the Dead, and I went, I love
I've been
horror.
obsessed with horror movies, like, and just like the horror genre ever since.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you a complete side question. Favorite horror movie ever?
Oh, favorite horror movie ever? It depends on the subgenre of horror movie, probably. But there's a movie I really like that's set in that 70s style because I really love horror films from the 70s. So I usually go for The Omen because it's very interpreted horror, like, and psychological. There's not a lot that you see directly, so and it's just the idea of what could happen. So I like that movie a lot.
I've been obsessed with horror for so long, so I don't even think I have a favorite anymore. It's just there's like a top 25 possibly at this point.
Yeah, and I always watch new horror film I haven't seen before. Usually the entire month of October. So this last October I did 31 Days of Halloween, and finally did like a new movie I hadn't seen every single day. So that was a tough one to keep up with, though, to find stuff that I could get access to and stuff that I hadn't seen. So
Okay, next one. Okay. So what was moving on then from the Nintendo? What was your very first ever, let's say, console slash PC? What was the very first console that you ever laid your hands on?
the first console that I ever owned that was just mine, that I didn't have to share with my brothers, or it wasn't my brothers, that I got to just be the alternate to jump in on, was the original Nintendo, or sorry, original Xbox. So I had the very first Xbox console, and I had my own PC, but it wasn't a gaming PC at the time. But my very, very old first PC was when I started playing World of Warcraft back around the time that I graduated high school. And yeah, the Xbox was my first console that was all mine.
And were you obviously got into World of Warcraft when it was still in its relative infancy?
Brand new,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you were one of the OGs. And
Yeah.
at what point then, can you remember then from moving on from the Xbox? What was your kind of, we all grow by the console that we have. So what was the kind of, can you remember all the consoles? I know I've spoken to one or two partners,
Yeah.
and Auntie Tinkerbell has all her original consoles actually on shelves in her house. So
Yeah,
can you remember your journey?
I still have all of my Xbox consoles, just like in a box. They're not on display, but they're in a box on my shelf. So I had the original Xbox, and then I think I got my Xbox 360. And on Xbox 360, I ended up getting a new PC. Still not like a really beefy gaming PC, but then that's when I started playing games on Steam and on Xbox. So um, and kind of got into what my probably one of my favorite games that I played a lot was. Um, and then I think I moved to I had the Xbox One, and then in the last 2 years I got myself the Xbox One X. I just was like, there's no point in me getting an S. Let's just skip it and get more power. But by that time I was already streaming, so um, yeah. And then I built myself a custom gaming PC back in 2016. So that was when I started like streaming.
And for a console player, what's it like making that jump? Like I've tried it myself. Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously with Modern Warfare Warzone, I tried it on PC as opposed to console. What's that jump
Yeah.
like? Is it like for me personally a very tough transition? Using keyboard. Now obviously you can cheat and just go ahead and use a controller, but what's it like moving from a console onto a, like as you say, like a beefy gaming PC, and making that move from console gaming to PC gaming?
Yeah, it's interesting because I would say so. I started working at Riot Games in 2014, and at that time, I the only game I played on PC was World of Warcraft, and so then I, of course, got into League of Legends because of Riot, and I slowly transitioned into be more of a PC gamer due to that. So the transition for me wasn't that difficult, oddly enough, because I was playing my Xbox less and playing PC more. And I was playing PC games every day because you're encouraged to play League and other PC games at work. So for me, it was just like this very gradual, natural transition. But then moving back into playing console more often when I came to a point where I needed to get a new PC built in order to run my stream. That was a bit of a transition, like going back to Xbox, especially because it was like the power and performance behind the system that I was now using to play games on was very different from what I had been used to. So,
And uh, at what point then did you kind of say, okay, I'm going to start streaming? Like, was there an impetus for you? Did someone say it to you, or was it something that you saw and said, I'm going to give this a try? And can you remember your first stream?
yeah, that's the tough part. So okay, so before I actually started my channel on Twitch, I had a channel just as someone who watched, because I would watch LCS and things like that. So I streamed a couple times to that channel, and I'm pretty sure the first one of the first streams I ever did was probably without a camera and just playing ESO, or it was either ESO or The Witcher 3 on PC at the time. Um, and yeah, that's what I remember. But the first time that I really was like, okay, I'm gonna like actually be mindful of creating a channel and a brand and all that stuff is when I built my custom PC, and I actually got a full setup to start with, which is probably not normal for a lot of people. But it's like, well, I've been working with people who do this in my job, and so I know what a lot of like nicer setups look like. So I just went ahead and got it. I did my research and got what I needed because I happened to just have savings to do it. So I think my first stream was probably World of Warcraft or Overwatch. The first time I like officially was like, okay, I'm streaming. I'm giving this a shot on my Twitch channel at the time. So because that was what was hot in 2016, in fall of 2016.
Yeah. And at what point then did you make the jump to kind of give Mixer a try then and say, okay, I'm gonna jump over? Like I've spoken to a
Yeah.
lot of partners, and everyone obviously has their own reasons for doing it. People obviously like Ninja have maybe 20 or 30 million different reasons, but like a lot of partners that I've spoken to did actually start on Twitch and
Mm-hmm.
then move to the Beam setup when it was obviously just in its infancy. But at what point did you kind of say, okay, I'm going to give Mixer a try instead, or Beam as it was?
Sure. Yeah. I had a Beam account as someone who would watch sometimes. But when Mixer acquired Beam and that was still in its infancy, I had a friend on Twitch who started on Twitch around the same time that I did that had moved over and was really enjoying it, and they kept asking me to try it. So I was like in a bit of a lull on Twitch, not in terms of viewership or anything like that. It was more in terms of I had gone through something really traumatic a few months prior, and had stopped streaming for quite a few months, and was trying to kind of come back to it and get back in the groove, and kind of lost sight of what I wanted for my own channel and identity and things like that. And so at the time, it was actually a really good time for me to try something new and see if maybe that would be a better fit for what I was looking for myself. So when I started streaming on Mixer, I said, okay, I'm going to do a 90-day trial and not stream on Twitch, only stream on Mixer to give it a real shot. And I saw really great success on Mixer right out of the gate, and really loved the level of engagement. And so for me, that's why I was like, after 30 days, I was like, okay, we're just going to stream on Mixer.
And
So
after
that's how it
being on
happened.
after being on both platforms, do you see, like, obviously apart from the numbers as well, but do you see a difference between the two platforms in relation to maybe what the viewers are like, or what your, what the engagement is like? Because obviously Twitch, it's a behemoth of a
Yeah.
platform. But do you see a difference after streaming on both?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there is an obvious difference in terms of a few things, and it could be good and bad. So, there's an obvious difference in terms of the number of viewers, in terms of people who are aware of the platform, but also in the, what do I want to say, maturity of the audience, and the kind of content that they're looking for. So I like the fact that didn't you can say like, this is 18 plus content, this is teen content, but you're still gonna have people that are not in that age category in your streams if you're doing 18 plus content. And with the ties that Mixer does have to Xbox, you're gonna have a lot, because like anybody of a certain age can have an Xbox account, so you're just gonna have that influx of folks. So I think Twitch has a more mature audience compared to Mixer, and sometimes I miss that.
Okay, and like, I think as well with Twitch, there's so many different facets now to Twitch in
And that
relation
was
to
just based
content.
on my
Yeah,
own Twitch channel, like
yeah.
in terms of what I had cultivated over there.
And just a kind of question in relation to that, because I we obviously being part of our stream team, and we have a lot of new streamers coming in looking for advice. You do get the streamers then who would have to put up with maybe the occasional troll and stuff like that. Do you have advice on how to deal, like, how do you personally deal with trolls? um
I feel like a lot of people wouldn't follow how I deal with trolls, because a lot of people give the advice that okay, a troll comes in, it first off, as a new streamer, it's going to take you a little bit to identify within an instant what is and isn't a troll. Like, I at this point I can tell immediately. So and it's interesting. So for me, I have a tendency, because humor is and probably sarcasm is a big part of my content, and just I probably reverse troll a lot more than other people do. But I never do anything that's like cruel or mean or anything like that. I just like can very easily kind of call out a situation in a way that makes the troll identify themselves without knowing that they're doing it. Um, and it becomes kind of funny. But I also, if anyone else in chat starts saying something or bullying that person, I knock that down right away. I was like, no, that's not what this is about. Like, I can say something to this person and, help identify that they're a troll, but you don't need to gang up and bully them. That's not what we want in this channel. So stop that right now. So usually that's how those kinds of things go. Most of my viewers have been around long enough to know that I don't need their backup to
yeah.
deal with the troll. And there's other things. Yesterday was a good example. I had people coming in and they would start asking weird questions or saying things in random ways, or just spamming once, twice, and the third time was all it needed for us to just ban you without saying anything. So
And a question then, obviously, just moving on slightly from that, um, like, for female gamers now, they're a very big majority, and you've got some of the highest profile Mixer partners are female, so like there is that really good balance, which is brilliant to see that, any female gamer out there, or any female even mixer partner is going to give any guy a run for his money when it comes to gaming. But do you, like, do you find that are you treated differently by some people who come into your stream? Do you know what I mean? Is there that disparity? Like I've asked a few people and they've found it, other people haven't found it. So like it's obviously a personal thing, but
Well, I think, how often do you have someone come in just to tell you you're hot?
oh God, never.
Like yesterday,
Yeah.
you're hot. I'm like, thanks.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
just move on. And then some people, some other female content creators, like if anyone says anything about their appearance, they're like, I'm just gonna let you know right now, don't say anything about my appearance. Like, that's not why you should be here. I don't even bother, because they're gonna get bored when I'm not engaging with them the way that I want them to. Now, if they say anything that is like over the line, then sure. Or if they start calling me by, I had someone who came in, this was like, God, I think this was back in 2017, and they would ask me a question, but they would call me hot girl instead of by my name. So
Okay.
I just had like, I went on a little tirade with them and was just like, yeah, no, that's not my name. You can call me Enola. You can call me EnolaCat. Some people even call me Cat. Doesn't make sense to me because Cat's at the end of my name, but some people can't pronounce Enola. So I was just like, but my name isn't Hot Girl. Like, so show me the respect of at least calling me by my name. And if you can't be in here without just solely focusing on my appearance, then like, yeah, maybe this isn't the place for you.
So okay, well, moving on from that then, what advice would you give? As I mentioned, obviously we've got so many, people out there who are now deciding to start streaming because, let's face it, they've nothing else to do at the minute, the way this world is going on. So,
Yeah.
like, for someone who's starting out on that road and thinking about creating content for the first time, what advice, like, you're a seasoned gamer, you're a seasoned streamer, so what advice would you have for someone who's deciding to put themselves out there for the first time?
Yeah, I guess so. For me, a lot of people have different opinions about this. And for me, you don't have to have a webcam, but understand that if you're not going to have a webcam, you need to be constantly communicating. Because there's plenty of streams I've gone into where they don't have a webcam, but then it's just, there's a lot of dead air, which, if I was listening to a radio show that happened to have moving pictures on YouTube, I wouldn't want to watch, because there's nothing happening to keep me engaged. And it's perfect for people who just want to watch the gameplay and don't really care about the person behind, who's in the gaming chair or on the couch or whatever. But so I would say, make sure your engagement is one of the most important things about what we do. So if you're not engaging with your audience, whether you can see that they're there or not, I'm not saying look at the view number or chat, just like whether you can see that someone's there or not, then you're doing yourself a big disservice. And I would also say, like, for me personally, from the perspective of a female content creator, I spent the first, well, how long has it been? Like 3 years of creating content, always with a shirt that went up to like here, because I was avoiding those types of comments and things. And now I just like wear what I want, and I'm being myself, and I've learned how to deal with the types of people that come in that may over sexualize me, or just make lewd comments. And lewdness is a little bit a part of my brand, so I tend not to get as tilted by it as other people. But at the same time, it's like, just be prepared for the type of content that you're putting out there, what you might receive in return, and prepare yourself on how to deal with it. So have a good idea of what your brand is, know who you are, totally be yourself. You don't have to share all your personal details with everybody, but I think just really being yourself, putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, but also knowing how to have a thick enough skin to like deal with the types of situations that we're going to deal with as female content creators. It's something that, it's unfortunate that you have to know how to deal with these things, but you do.
And what makes you, if you're browsing Mixer, what stops you? What kind of says, oh, I'm going to take a look at this stream? Because what we find and what we've learned is that obviously you can be passing by a stream and you might check out a stream because it looks professional, it looks well, but when you get there, That's all you see. It's just somebody on their
Yeah.
phone or something like that. So, like, what makes you stop at a stream and say, okay, I'm going to give this a look, and this is actually a good stream. Like for some, it's music, background music. For others, it's engagement and humor and that sort of thing. But what would make you, EnolaCat, kind of stop at a stream and say, I'm going to check this person out?
I actually often search the game directories, and I often won't stop into anything that's FPS or one of the most popular games. So I look at who's playing the games that I like, because that makes sense for me to network with people and get to know people who are in my category. And then I look at just like, what is the content look like? I often look at the title of the stream too, because I think that that can be very telling about someone's personality. Um, and I won't go into any stream that says partner push. I can tell
Okay.
you that right now, because it feels disingenuous to me. And I don't think, I personally, from my perspective, if you're pushing to be a partner, that's really great. But I don't think that's how you should market yourself, because it's like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm pushing for partner. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, where are you going from that point if you get partnership? And I can also tell you that I think that when mixers reviewing your streams and they see that your title is partner push, they're probably going to weigh that against you.
Okay.
So
Okay. Uh, on that note, at what point did you say, okay, I'm actually going to, apply for partnership? When did you know that it was going to be a good time for you? And like, did you get it on the first time, or did you have to do a couple of
yeah, I
applications?
think it's probably a unique situation for me. I did get it on the first time that I applied. I was surprised. I didn't actually, I was expecting to get a note back and maybe some feedback. So when I decided to apply, I didn't want to apply right at 2,000 followers, because I was like, well, let me make sure I've got a really good idea of who I am and what my brand is, and what I want to say. So I waited till I had 2,500 followers, which was like a couple weeks, like a week or something later. So it wasn't
Stop
super
making me
different,
jealous.
but it's not, I had to think about, like, okay, who am I? What do I want to say? Who is my community, and what do I want them to be? Because I think that when I applied, I also made zero I statements in my application. Everything I said was about our community and what we're going to do together. I didn't say anything about myself, my metrics, any of that. It was all about the community that was being created by what I was doing in my channel, and the vision that I had for us.
That's
So,
actually really interesting now, because I know people who have obviously pushed and done the paperwork, but that little nugget of information that you've just mentioned now is obviously something that people can take with them. You know what I mean? As opposed to referring to it all about being about yourself and making it about the community.
because I think it's like, yes, it is your brand, but what is it about? What are you trying to create? Why is this important to you, and what do you think makes it important to the people that come in and watch you every day? So, for me, I honestly think that's why I got partnered
Okay.
on the first try, because of how I framed my application statement. So
Okay, we'll just have to get a copy of your application and copy off
I don't know where it is
that.
now. I don't even think I made a rough draft. I just typed it all in the form.
Right. Okay. Well, look, we're going to move on to the slightly less pressure questions now, because we've got some fun questions for you. Just kind of nice little kind of easy ones. So, at the end of each interview with all the partners, we have a little kind of thing called Desert Island Discs. It's used around the world by every possible radio station and show out there, but it's always good to know, because it tells a lot about the person. So, and I have a feeling I know the answer to one of these questions already, but so you're on a desert island. You can bring one book, one movie, one album, and obviously one game as well. So,
Okay.
and you have to give the reason behind the choice. You can't
Oh,
just
okay.
you can't just list them off, but just let us know. Like, obviously, if you have an album, what it means to you. Obviously, with the same with a game and stuff like that. So we'll start with your favorite book.
Yeah, my favorite book that I've read that I keep going back to is called We Are Never Meeting in Real Life. It's actually a compilation of humorous comedic articles by Samantha Irby. It's injecting humor into these sometimes difficult, sometimes awkward situations in her life, and how she's gotten through them as a writer and sort of a kind of a comedian. I don't think she set out to be a comedian, but she's funny. And for me, it's sort of a book that says to me, like, hey, I can have all these difficult things that have happened in my life and find the flip side or the humorous part of the situation and be able to talk about things that are serious and inflect a little bit of humor, positivity in it, and make it better for myself. And that way I'm not stuck in a situation where I'm just like focused on the bad all the time. So
Okay.
that's my book. You guys should all read it. There's also the second book she did is called Needy. So
Okay, that's interesting. Actually, I must check. I'm an avid reader, so I must check that out. Favorite movie?
So I do love The Omen, but my movie that I would bring to a desert island is actually House of the Devil. It's an
Oh,
independent
love that movie.
horror film, yeah. So that's actually my favorite. It's the same director that did The Innkeepers.
Ty West.
Yeah, Ty West.
Yeah.
And so House of the Devil is actually probably my new favorite. And I can, for whatever reason, I can just watch it over and over again.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, still it's the same subject matter in terms of dealing with the demonic.
Yeah.
So, which obviously I guess is just a theme for me. So
I actually interviewed Ty West at the London Film Festival after The Innkeepers had come out, and the actual set, the place where they shot that movie was really badly haunted. That they kept waking up every night.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, so but he's a really funny guy and injects so much humor. You wouldn't get to watch House of the Devil and then chat to him afterwards. Totally different. You're kind of going, you're not what I expected for a horror movie director. Okay, so favorite album.
That's a tougher one because I have very fluid music tastes. So I feel like, let me pull up my Spotify. What am I playing a lot right now? That's probably more telling. So actually, oh gosh, that's tough. I have too much music, to be honest.
You could never have too much music. Enola, you can never have too much music.
I feel like I have too much, and I have a lot of random playlists and stuff. So, there's a band called Paris, but it's spelled with a V, and they have an album called, I always forget. So, it's called White Noise. That is really, really good. I can listen to the whole thing over and over, and
Yeah.
it's kind of got this like it's a little bit rock, it's a little bit kind of synth wavy. I really like retro wave and synth wave music, so I listen to a lot of that. Like Gunship's one of my favorite bands as well.
Okay, okay, interesting. I had you down as a kind of metal person, kind of maybe hard
I don't
rock
listen
metal.
to metal.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not into metal at all. A lot of people would think that just
Yeah.
because I'm into horror and stuff, but I was like, yeah, no, I'm like,
Yeah.
I've probably listened to stuff that's a little more, I guess I don't like anything kind of screamo either, but like maybe Riot Girl punk rock type stuff is
Yeah.
probably more my scene.
I would say at a rough guess, you're one of these Spotify people like myself. When you hear a song, you go like, and then it goes into a playlist, and then you find it 3 months later and go, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm like, where's my likes and radio
Yeah.
stuff? Because that's like humongous, and it's just, or I'll put it like I'm always curating playlists, so I do that a lot. Lots of curated playlists. Or
Okay.
I'll share them with people if I can. So
Right. Now, here, this is going to be the toughie. Well, could be a toughie.
okay.
Your favorite game, your Desert Island game. What game would you bring?
That one's easy for me. I actually know what it is, and I've played it like a million times. It's actually Dragon Age Origins.
Oh, that's an epic game.
Yeah,
I've actually watched that on
I've played
stream.
it on PC.
Yeah.
I've played it on Xbox. I've played it multiple times on each platform, and now I have it downloaded on my Xbox One X to like play again because it's got that reverse compatibility from the library. But it was on 360 originally, and Morrigan's one of my favorite characters. I'm very into the occult and witchcraft stuff, which people know from my channel.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's definitely Dragon Age Origins.
Fantastic. Okay, well, look, EnolaCat, thank you very much for taking the time. Now, we always ask as well our partners for a little kind of one line. What's the one line you would like? Obviously, we've a lot of streamers watching this now, a lot of new streamers, a lot of people who are thinking about going for partnership, and people who are also we have those people who've maybe streamed to zero viewers and are thinking about giving it up. I know I've done it myself the odd time, but if you had one line and one bit of advice you could give to a streamer out there, what would you give?
Gosh. That's tough. So I self-doubt is one of the biggest monsters in this whole industry. Self-doubt and imposter syndrome. It's a tough one, and it's something you're going to constantly be dealing with. But if you have a real passion for gaming, and you have a passion for streaming, and you have a passion for creating a community space that isn't just for you, but that's for the the people that you're doing it for. Like